Hi, I'm Dr. Al Costanza. I'm a functional medicine practitioner here in Wakefield, Mass. Our clinic is called Holistic Health Counseling and Education here on Albion Street. So, I wanted to talk to you today and give you my perspective on what's going on with the coronavirus. And I would, follow obviously the recommendations of the obvious, and that's washing your hands and staying home, in social distancing and so forth. But there are things that people are not aware of that I'd like to give you my perspective on it that could be very helpful. It has to do with two particular areas. One has to do with boosting or upregulating your immune system as a protective measure, and the second has to do with the cell membrane. And the reason I mention the integrity of the cell membrane, because this is where the gateways or the entry is for the virus to get into the cells and sort of take over. So, first thing I want to talk about is immunity. And one thing we learn in functional medicine is that the microbe, whether it be the virus or bacteria or the parasite or the fungi or whatever it is not primary. It's secondary or tertiary. What's primary is your terrain, and that's another name for your immune system. And where is your terrain? It's basically wherever there's mucosal membrane, and that's from the sinuses down to the other end of the gut. And so about 80% of your immune system resides in that particular area. So what can we do to upregulate the immune system? Well, first and foremost is consume a diet that's not high in sugar, carbs, alcohol, foods that are anti-inflammatory, things like salmon, cold water fish, and a variety of vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, collards, mustard greens, Brussels sprouts, bok choy. And I'd throw beets in there as well. Beets is really good for the liver. Avocado I think is sort of see it as a superfood, and there's others as well. But those are the, principal ones that are really good for you. And low sugar. Sugar is a huge problem. Not too much alcohol. That's a problem. And refined white flour products. Cookies and cakes and bagels and stuff like that. Besides that, their medications can affect the cell membrane. Also, glyphosates, Monsanto, and these are things that can affect it as well. Heavy metals, particularly mercury, can affect it. Bad fats like trans fats and hydrogenated oils, things in some, at least they used to have it sell in donuts or things of that. Deep fried foods. Not all today, but some is an issue. And also contaminants in the environment. It's not so much what we touch as what we breathe. And we refer to these as xenobiotics. They act like fake estrogens. Sometimes we call them xenoestrogens. So all of what I just said compromises the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the command center of the cell, not the nucleus. The nucleus the cell can exist without a nucleus for up to three months, which is pretty interesting. But the cell membrane is where it's at. And we actually have ways of measuring that through a test called bioelectrical impedance analysis, totally non-invasive. And that gives you an idea of inflammation in the body and a whole bunch of other cool stuff like your biological age and, whether the cells are in a building state, breaking down state. So anyways, what happens is I want to explain to you that when the cell membrane is compromised through, let's say, a bad diet or let's say environmental reasons of all the things that I just mentioned, what happens is that there's an increase of antibodies called ACE2 antibodies. And I'm going to show you a little photo here of this ACE2 antibody. So this is the ACE2 antibody. So that's like an entry into the cell. It gets through the cell membrane. And over here, we have the COVID or the coronavirus. And there's a series of coronaviruses. There's not just one. as you know, in the past, we've had all types of coronaviruses. So there are things one can do in terms of improving the diet, and there are supplements one can take to improve the cell membrane. So, for example, high dosage EPA DHA fish oil, particularly in a liquid form that's no fishy taste, that improves the cell membrane, and it reduces the number of these antibodies that the virus can get entry to, or the gateways to get into the cells. Also, phosphatidylserine and phosphatidylcholine, they can be purchased in a powder form or pill form. And also vitamin E. Now, with regard to vitamin E, not the D-L-tocopherol, but the D-tocopherol. So the DL is the synthetic, the D is the real McCoy. And you want a variety of types of vitamin E working together. We call mixed tocopherols. Tocopherol is another name for vitamin E, by the way, okay? So let me put this down. So that, along with maybe some magnesium, some zinc, some vitamin D3, which is very good for you. All of what I just said helps to protect the cell membrane. And I might also add into that a good probiotic as well. So that protects the cell membrane. But the other thing I mentioned was immunity. So what do we do about immunity? A patient of mine sent me a text, and he says to me, asked me, he travels a lot, can you get me Sacosaponins B2? Do you know what it is? And it happens to be one of the principal ingredients in a Chinese herb called Bupleurum, which we carry, keep in stock all the time. And so what I did was I put together the Bupleurum, which there was a PubMed study that said that it significantly inhibits the coronaviruses, not necessarily COVID-19, but it didn't say it did or did not, but it says a series of other coronaviruses. So I also added 7 other good, powerful antiviral herbs in a liquid extract. Now, liquid herbal extract is different than just someone doing a standard tincture. A tincture is a ratio of like 1 to 10, 1 to 12. This is a ratio of 1 to 1, 1 to 2. So these are pretty powerful. And the liquid extracts, in this particular form, has higher potency than if you were to do capsules or tablets, which there's nothing wrong with capsules and tablets, but this is higher potency. So we put that together, and with some other supplements that upregulate and modulate the immune system, which I take every day, all year round. And some of those are from a company called Standard Process. They're in MediHerb. They're whole food supplements. That means they come from a farm. I've been to the farm in Palmyra, Wisconsin, and it's a pretty amazing place. All organic and so forth. So what are these other supplements? I recommend the Echinacea Premium from MediHerb, and it's actually the liquid form is in my formula. Andrographis Complex, the liquid form, is in my formula as well. And also I take something called Conjuplex, which has your vitamin A, your vitamin C, and other things in it. I take something called Thymex, which works on the thymus to boost the immune system, and a formula called Immuplex. So that, along with the formula that I put together, would be a good protective measure to enhance the immune system. And of course, vitamin C in high dosages wouldn't hurt either. So as I mentioned, there's 2 components of this. One is protect the cell membrane, and I listed those particular supplements, including the fish oil, the phosphatidylcholine, the phosphatidylserine, the vitamin E mixed tocopherols, and then I mentioned for the upregulating and boosting the immune system, my own formula, what I call it Viral Protect, comes in an 8-ounce bottle. And then after the other supplements and herbs from Standard Process and MediHerb. So these are things you can do to protect yourself. Use common sense, live your life, but at the same time know that the microbe is not primary, it's secondary. The last thing I wanted to mention, I think is really important, is statistically, the virus is not going to kill you. What's going to kill you is stress. Even without the virus and all of this, stress is the number one factor. When people ask me what causes chronic illness, I tell them stress, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder first. Diet second. The third would be lack of activity, exercise. You got to keep moving. Next would be lack of deep delta level sleep. Very important. You could talk about that for hours. The next thing would be contaminants in the environment I talked about earlier. The xenoestrogens, the xenobiotics we call them. The next thing would be infection. And the last thing would be genetics. So I believe I mentioned 7 things. The first 6 influence number 7, good or bad. So anyways, so I hope this has been helpful to you. If it's something that you're interested in and would like to get started on some of these, you can feel free to contact us through our website, which is dralcostanza.com. It's dralcostanza.com. Or you can reach us at the office at 781-246-5041. We are open. We are in that essential category versus non-essentials, but are also doing more phone consultations as well. So we can offer you a free initial 15-minute phone consultation, and if that's something that you think is helpful to you, please give us a call, 781-246-5041, and be well, and we will get through this. Take care, and we'll continue with these videos in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.